So, with a team that had the second worst record in football last year and blew the number one pick in the final week of the season, do they have anything of value that they can trade? And the answer is not a ton. Devon Godshaw has already been talking to teams. I think Kyle Duggar is still a trade chip. Now, I understand that there are many people out there who look at the bad year that he had, because he did have a bad year, and look at the injury. I believe it was a bum ankle that he was dealing with, much like Chris Godwin, a much more bum ankle Chris Godwin had, but a bad ankle that he was dealing with this year. And maybe that's the case, because this was a guy who was so promising a couple years ago in Duggar, and a guy that I was happy to see them re-sign last year, and it didn't work out last year, that's for sure. Can you, speaking of some other guys that you re-signed, what kind of market does Ramondre Stevenson have? I think that's really worth looking into. Obviously, he wasn't dealt a great hand last year with that offensive line, but the guy's got a fumbling problem, whether he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage or not. I think that's a real thing. And a guy who was once very promising, I think could net you something, as well as, who knows what you can get for Jabril Peppers if he can stay out of jail. You could maybe get something for him. That said, who is it on the other end? Because we've heard some loose rumors, and I got one last night that I think makes a ton of sense for the Patriots. The first one that we've heard so many times is DK Metcalf. I don't necessarily want DK Metcalf, which might sound ridiculous to a lot of Patriots fans. The dude is a beast. He's a monster. But there's a reason Seattle doesn't want to keep him. He's a freelancer. He's now had some injuries. That body could break down pretty easily here. I just don't love the short term, let alone the long term, with DK Metcalf. The one I do like, now that T. Higgins is off the table, the Patriots are now getting aggressive, looking at wide receiver. Phil Perry reporting on Monday. Ooh, I like Phil Perry, man. I like his reports. Saying, hey, who could be an option for the Patriots? You heard of this guy in Vegas, Jakobi Meyers? Yeah, what a story. Undrafted guy, slot guy, played somewhere, and then the Raiders picked him up and paid him some real money. What a good move that was. And he's going into the final year of his contract. The Raiders stink, and who knows what they're going to do with the quarterback position, really. So is Jakobi Meyers available? And certainly all signs point to it. There are other outlets reporting that Meyers is available and why it would work for their teams. And it would be, I think, a great move for the Patriots. Because first off, letting him go is one of the worst decisions they've made over the last few years. Not that Jakobi Meyers is an all-pro or anything like that, but you had an uber dependable receiver that you found, that you actually had the eye for. Of course, you didn't draft him, because you don't draft good NFL receivers. He was an undrafted free agent. But this guy was a productive slot receiver, and he wasn't going to cost a ton, and they let him walk, and the Raiders took him. And now he's got a year left in the contract. Raiders are going nowhere. They've got a new coach. They're going to have a new quarterback. So where do they go? Get something for him. And it's probably not going to be a ton. Third round pick, second round pick. Maybe you throw a player in there, player without much consequence. And Jakobi Meyers would be a great addition to this Patriots team. The same reason I think Amari Cooper would be. And to a lesser extent of what Chris Godwin would be. I think Godwin's a better receiver. But Jakobi Meyers is a guy who, like Amari Cooper, he's not a burner. He's not going to give you a ton of space. He's not going to have a ton of separation. But he's going to be open. He's the same guy he was in 2021, 22 with Mac Jones, a guy who did not have as good an arm as Drake Maye has, right? Like he was a super productive receiver then, but he wasn't a guy who had a ton of separation. He wasn't an absolute burner. He wasn't a deep ball threat. He was a slot receiver who could get open on third down and made catches, didn't drop balls, Like those years in New England, while he didn't get in the end zone as much as he should have, remember that was a long-running thing. He didn't have a touchdown the first 2 years he played. But the last 2 years with Mac Jones, 21 and 22, when Jacoby's kind of coming into his own there, Over 800 yards both years. Has another 800 his first year with the Raiders and 8 touchdowns, and then has 1,000 last year. 1,000 yards in 15 games. Like, this guy can still do it, man. And he sure as hell can still do it in a Josh McDaniels offense. Like, he goes to the Raiders because Josh McDaniels loves him. And he was super productive in the couple of years in New England that Josh McDaniels was there. So it makes all the sense in the world. And it's not going to cost you a ton of money. This would make up for what was honestly a terrible Patriots mistake by letting Jakobi go. And led to the precipitous downfall of Mac Jones. It was not the only thing, but it certainly was one of them. The guy, he plays. He's always out there. He doesn't drop balls. He doesn't fumble. He's fumbled 3 times his whole career. None with the Raiders, by the way. Maybe that was something he figured out there. But he's exactly one of the things this Patriots offense needs. Because to say that any one person is exactly what this Patriots offense needs would be an insult to how bad the Patriots offense is. Okay? They need plenty of help. They need plenty of different guys, plenty of different things. But figuring out this wide receiver room, bringing in a 29-year-old he's gonna be 29 in November, so 28-year-old Jakobi Meyers, who has played in this system before, has thrived in this system before, has been around the block, knows what it's like to see the page. It was 1 year with Brady, but kind of still knows what it's like, what the Patriots way should look like. To me, that's invaluable. And again, let's expand this here for wide receivers for free agency and the trade market. Let's look at these 4 guys. Talking about Kupp, Godwin, Cooper, Meyers. Any 2 of those, and you're in great shape. It's not T. Higgins, and we get that. And you'll have another bite at the apple of the outside receiver, $30 million guy next year. You will. But for right now, you can get 2 pretty productive receivers out of those 4 who, any combination of them will have at least, a Super Bowl ring, experience with the Patriots, multiple 1,000-yard seasons, fitting in Josh McDaniels' style of offense, right? I think you could say that for obviously for Meyers. I think you can say it for Godwin, what they were running in Tampa. And I think Cooper Kupp can play in any offensive system. And certainly his ability to get open from the slot receiver position is vital to a Josh McDaniels offense too. So yeah, the T. Higgins news sucks. But here, sitting in your lap, potentially, are another couple of cheap options. You'll have to overpay for Godwin. But other than that, these will be relatively cheap options that are attainable for the Patriots, that can help the Patriots, that can help Drake Maye, not just in 2025, but for his development into these next few years here. These are things that didn't happen for Mac Jones that could happen for Drake Maye. Right? After the first year of Mac Jones, after the 21 offseason, or I guess the offseason, the free agency the month before they drafted Mac Jones, after that, they didn't pay any mind to improving the offense. I mean, they didn't. In fact, they actively hurt it. They let players go. They let players walk, like Jakobi Meyers, which was a mistake, a huge mistake. And they didn't do anything to improve the skill positions on offense after that. They said, you know what? Screw it. They said, we paid these guys money in 2021. We're going to keep rolling with them. Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar. And I hesitate because they thought they were doing something by getting Juju Smith-Schuster after letting Jakobi Meyers walk. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. I think Juju was obviously a bigger name, but even at the time, I think there were some Patriots fans that were like, really? I don't think I think he's on the downturn here. And we were exactly right. Jakobi Meyers was a known commodity to your system, to your coach, to your quarterback. And you let him go with the shiny new toy of Juju Smith-Schuster. And he was god-awful. Terrible. Sucked. Cut him after 1 year. cut him to keep Tyquan Thornton on the roster to tell you how bad he was. And they both end up nearly getting a Super Bowl ring with the Chiefs. Nearly. Of course, Juju already has one. But what a fucking waste to let Jakobi Meyers walk and bring in Juju Smith-Schuster. Well, Patriots, you can fix that. And I think it would be a great help to this team.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.